This is a quick overview and demo of Stytch's device fingerprinting product, where we'll cover use cases for device fingerprinting, how to quickly integrate it into your app in a few minutes, and then a live demo of the fingerprinting API, its payload, and dashboard UI. We'll walk through both a happy path for real users, as well as how to use it to stop a real example of programmatic abuse via headless browsing. So in terms of use cases, you can use it for both good users and bad users. Many apps will choose to want to recognize returning users and either personalize experiences or minimize friction for those users, even if they haven't signed back into an account. But most commonly, what we see is this being a really helpful tool in stopping bad traffic in terms of bot traffic, headless browsing that could contribute to things like credential stuffing, account takeovers, phishing, and SMS toll fraud. The other thing that you'll see is that you can get a lot of very reliable, fine-grained signal data that helps you make more informed abuse and traffic shaping decisions on your application. So what we're going to do is show an example of this integrated into a real website where I want to protect it against compute abuse. So I have this simple website. It's called ELIP. Explain it to me like I'm your parent. And what it does is, kind of inspired by my own personal frustrations trying to explain Stytch to my parents, it intakes your parents' traits, intakes a jargon-filled description of your tech startup, and then using OpenAI's GPT-4 API, it makes a call and uses a prompt in order to translate the above into a relatable description of your startup. And so what I've done here is I really want to protect this submission endpoint, because one of the things that's very costly about this application is the fact that I'm making a real call out to OpenAI that I have to pay for every single time, similar to an endpoint that sends an SMS or anything else where you might have something of value on the site. And so I'll show you quickly what I've done on the site, and then we'll go through a real example. So I've dropped Stytch's telemetry script into the site, and then what I've done is that when the submit button is clicked, I'm going to get a telemetry ID, pass to my backend, and then on my backend, what you'll see I'm doing is that I'm actually going to have a few pieces of logic here where if I don't get a telemetry ID, I know it's not someone with a JavaScript environment, so I can block them outright. Otherwise, I'm going to make a lookup call to Stytch's lookup endpoint, and I'm going to get a verdict whether this is good traffic I should allow or something that I should block on my application. So a quick example. Let's go through a good, real happy path for a user. My parents are law professors in Las Vegas. I struggle to describe Stytch to them in a way that makes sense to them. And so let's see what ELIP can generate. And if I go to the backend to look at what's happening, you can see I fingerprinted this user. I got a few things that are of importance here. I got really fine-grained fingerprints, such as browser fingerprint, hardware fingerprint, network, and visitor fingerprints, as well as a couple IDs. And most helpfully, I got this verdict at a high level, which tells me that this is a good user. I should allow this action. It's Apple Chrome, and it is a real human being. Now, what I'd like to do is show an example of somebody trying to abuse this application and how we'll handle that on the Stytch backend. So what I'm going to do is show you an example of using Puppeteer, where if I show you my script here, I've written a very basic script that uses Puppeteer, which is headless browsing, in order to go to this URL, input traits and a startup description, and then hit submit. And if somebody was able to do this from a programmatic perspective, whether either directly via curl, Python, Node.js, or something like headless browsing, I would be paying for that AI compute. So I'm going to generate this and show you how we're able to stop this with Stytch device fingerprinting. So I've initiated the headless browsing path, and it's going to pop up. You'll see it's trying to make a request there, and let's take a look at what's happening on the back end. Here's now the second request that we just walked through, where again, I get a number of fingerprints that can help with really fine-grained tracking, traffic shaping, etc. But most importantly here, I get a really helpful verdict, which tells me, hey, this is headless browser automation. Therefore, the action we recommend is block. It's not an authentic device. It is someone emulating a device, but failing to pass our test. And so what's really helpful here is both the ability to protect this application, as well as the fact that if you go into your Stytch dashboard, once you're enabled for this product, I can go take a look at the actual traffic over the past week, and I can drill into different verdict actions, verdict reasons. As you can see, I have headless browsing, some unverified devices, as well as user agent inception, and I can dig deeper as needed. So this is a quick overview. Please reach out if you're interested in learning more, but really helpful for both minimizing friction for good users and stopping abuse of your application.